Oh, hello. I seem to be covered in snow and I've been to the frozen north for today's tale to take you away. Let me just get myself ready. Hello, my name's Elizabeth Baker. I'm a storyteller. My story today is a chilly one, and it's all about what happened after Father Christmas had made his journey round the world. So, make yourselves comfortable and get ready for a tale to take you away. Father Christmas sat down in his big chair in his land up in the far frozen north. He had a big mug of tea and he'd put his nice thick warm socks on, and he was feeling very, very tired. He had been out all night delivering presents all the way round the world, and now all he wanted to do was put his feet up, sip a mug of tea and relax. He had a big stretch and soon his eyes were closing and his head was drooping until he was fast asleep. Whilst Father Christmas slept, the Winter Witch, who lived up in the frozen north with him, well, she saw a chance to do something really rather wicked. She set off and started to turn what was already a snowy land into an ice-cold land. At first, the people didn't really notice, and then soon they realised that they were having to dig tunnels to see their neighbours, and soon they realised that spring wasn't coming. It was still very, very cold, and that's when they realised what had happened. They realised that the Winter Witch had enchanted the land so that it would always be winter and never spring. Well, said the people, something must be done. Somebody needs to go right up to the frozen north and tell Father Christmas. He's the only one who can save us. Who's going to volunteer to do the job? And everybody studied their hands and their feet until a little girl said, I'll go. You can't go, they said. You're far too small. Well, you'll vanish in the snow. I won't, she said. I am as nimble as a mountain goat, and my heart is full of love, and that will keep me warm, and I will make it all the way. Well, look at you, they said. You'll need some warm clothes. And a little old lady came forward and she said, I have knit you a hat and a scarf. They will keep you warm on your journey. And a seamstress came forward and said, I have made you a coat from the thickest wool I can find. I have felted it and it will keep you warm. And the leather maker came forward and said, I have made you a pair of very sturdy boots, and I've lined them with sheepskin, and they will keep your feet toasty warm whilst you journey. The little girl's grandfather looked sadly at her and said, You will take care, won't you? You will come back to me. What will I ever do without you? And one tear froze on his cheek as he watched his granddaughter set off. The little girl trudged off into the snow. She pulled her coat up, she pulled her hat down, and she fastened the scarf round her, and off she went. As she got further and further north, the winds saw her. The winds were friends with the Winter Witch, and they blew down, and the little girl really had to lean into them to keep going, but she kept going. The Winter Witch heard what had happened when the winds came back, out of breath from blowing so hard, and the Winter Witch said, I shall send a blizzard, that will teach her. The Winter Witch sent the blizzard and an icy blast all the way down the land, and the girl had to really pull her hat down, and icicles formed on her eyelashes, but she kept going. She was determined to save everyone. The blizzards came back and Oh, they were melting with the effort and the heat to try and blast down the land, and they said, "We've never met a human like this before. What shall we do?" And the witch thought for a minute, and she said, "I know what to do. I need to be much more cunning with this child. She is too clever if we're not careful. I shall go down and trick her." And so the Winter Witch turned herself into the most beautiful snowflake, and she slowly drifted down and round the girl's head, and as she did, she sang to her a soft, gentle lullaby that found its way into the girl's ear and then into her brain, and soon the girl paused and she said, "Oh, I've been travelling for quite some time. I think I might just have a sleep for a while." And she pulled her coat up and her scarf round her, and she closed her eyes and lay down in the snow. And as she lay, the snow fell and the girl got colder and colder until she was nearly frozen. The Winter Witch vanished. Her job was done, but out of the snow came a tiny little nose and some whiskers, and following it was a little tiny body with a very long tail, a little mouse. The mouse had seen what had happened. The mouse scurried up the girl's body and tried to rub its little body round her cheeks to warm them, but they were so cold. And so the mouse let out a squeak, and soon out of the snow popped 1, 2, 3, 4, lots of heads, rabbits and mice and even moles, and out they came and they rubbed themselves on the little girl until she opened her eyes with a start, and she saw all the animals, and she said, "What happened? I was having a beautiful dream and there was a gorgeous song in my ear." And the animals said, "It's time to go. Warm yourself. You need to go and wake Father Christmas." The little girl carried on up through the snow right the way to the Frost Palace where Father Christmas lived. The Winter Witch had worked her magic there as well, because all the guards were asleep and all the people who worked there were fast asleep. The little girl wandered through the palace looking for Father Christmas. The animals scurried ahead of her, and soon there was a cry, and the little girl went up the stairs, and there, fast asleep in his huge chair, was Father Christmas, snoring away. The squirrels bounded up and they tickled Father Christmas's nose with their long bushy tails, and achoo! He opened his eyes and all the animals froze and the little girl stood still, and Father Christmas looked and he said, Oh, what are you all doing here?" And the little girl explained about how the Winter Witch had turned the land to eternal winter. "I will not have this," said Father Christmas, and he picked up a silver trumpet and he blew, and a sound rang out, and suddenly the palace was filled with creatures and people of all sorts of magical means. "Begone," said Father Christmas. "Find me the Winter Witch. Bring her back to me." They were gone, and within a moment, squealing and spitting and kicking, was the Winter Witch. She had elves hanging from her and animals fastening her feet together, and she hung her head and looked very sorry for herself. Father Christmas looked at her and said, "What have you done? Did you try and stop spring from coming?" And the Winter Witch nodded her head. "You will stay here with me all year because you cannot be trusted," said Father Christmas. And then he picked up his stick and he banged it on the ground, and the crackle went out. He looked at the little girl and he said, "I think that will do. Now, do you need help to go home? I can summon one of my reindeer." And the girl said, "No, Father Christmas, you rest again. I'll find my way home." The little girl trudged back down to her town, and when she got back, the snowdrops were just starting to peek out of the snow, and all the snow was slowly going down. And do you know what? The Winter Witch never turned the world to winter again. And Father Christmas, well, he got a good night's